right, well, thank you. Appreciate having just a couple minutes to talk with you. I hope you find being here in person exciting. I have to say I do. I'm so tired of living in my basement and seeing people over Zoom. Seeing people in person is exciting. And as John said, I've worked in open source for a long time. That's why I have gray hair. But I find it very exciting to meet people and meet in person, so it's exciting to be here. And let's get to, there we go. So one thing I have to say that COVID taught me, right, and I think it's taught us as a world, is that we can work remotely, we can interact remotely, right? And I think what's happened in this world is it's turned the light bulb on saying, you know what? If I can work remotely, I can do things remotely, right? I can receive my groceries remotely. I can do my banking remotely. I can do all these things remotely that I didn't used to do. So it's caused this big shift. And I'm finding this shift very exciting. So I've been in this industry quite a few years. I find this very exciting for two reasons. One is we're creating a problem for business. And two, we're creating the solution for business, right? So we're causing businesses to have to rethink the way they're doing business. And it's because our expectations have changed. We've learned over the last couple of years, wait, businesses can do things for me that they didn't used to do. And businesses are realizing we can do things for our customers that we didn't used to be able to do. And so we've got this shift happening, right? And what this is causing businesses to do is become much more distributed than they used to be. It's causing them to place applications, distribute them in ways that they haven't done before. And that's so that they can deliver those services to us. Our expectations are much higher, much different than they used to be, right? We expect things to be on time, we expect things to be on demand, and we expect them to happen in real time, right? Can't batch those things up anymore. I expect them to happen real time. When I push the button, I want that movie to play. I want the bank to update my, my balance and so forth. And so we're having to place those applications that are closer to us as a consumer. And that means that we're distributing those across our enterprise, whether that be for the cloud, whether it be back at that core data center, or that it be out there at the edge. So when I start to think about that from an IT perspective, that means that all of a sudden that distribution is making my architecture much more complex than it used to be. But the expectations are higher. So the expectations are that I am going to deploy that, but it's got to scale, right? And it's got to be securely distributed, right? And it's got to interoperate seamlessly. Otherwise, my risk goes up, my complications, my maintainability goes down, right? And then all of a sudden, we have all these exploding number of use cases for delivering services out at the edge, as I mentioned. Second one is that also implies that I have to modernize my applications. I've got to build those to run in this distributed environment and all across those distributed architectures. I want to push those to where the platform makes sense. But I've got to do that without disrupting those applications. And we're talking about key applications here. We're not talking about the simple ones. We're talking about the big, complex ones that my business depends on, right? Those SAPs and Oracles and SQL servers and so forth. But I've got to, I appreciate David's presentation here because I have to do this and ensure that we're still running trusted and secure. And then guess what? We also have an additional factor happening here today, and that is the complication of we have a global skills shortage, right? So I've got to be able to do this without increasing and hopefully decreasing the amount of skills that are needed to handle this distributed environment. So I want to tie SUSE into this because I only have just a couple seconds, but why is SUSE? Why is SUSE involved in this? Well, our mission is very simple. We want to enable you to innovate everywhere, right? And we want to enable you to do this as you're racing towards delivering an always-on experience to your customers. So let's see how this ties in together. So to help you to address your challenges and these challenges that I've been discussing, we're focused on 3 value propositions or principles that are tied to our portfolio. First is you need to have a flexible platform, or platforms, plural, that unify your operations. So unification is key to this. So they need to be unified across this distributed environment, from the cloud to the core and out to the edge. Secondly, you need to have ease of use of those, and you need to be able to support the mitigation of technology adoption risk, right? So I need to be able to adopt these technologies, leverage these technologies without increasing my risk. And then secondly, I've got to overcome those skills and staffing gaps that I have, right? If I can do that, then I've improved my productivity, and I can shorten the technology cycle to deliver those services which we are expecting as consumers. But I've got to have robust security. And I've got to have security that's not just in my runtime area. I've got to have that security, as David was talking about, that extends all the way through the developer pipeline and the supply chain pipeline. So let's look at these in a little bit more detail in just a couple of seconds we have. So today's distributed enterprise infrastructure needs are very diverse, right? And they're complex because the technology, our technology leaders, so you and I, we're architecting for the future while we're modernizing our existing architectures and our existing infrastructure. So what we need to do, as I mentioned before, is we need to unify those platforms. I'm not saying throw things out. I'm saying we need to unify those and make them work together. So we've got to bridge that traditional software-defined environment, and we've got to provide those data centers with the robustness that we need for reliability, cloud agility, and scale, and then along with fitting those clear out to the edge and out to that reach. So the first broad initiative in this area is what we're seeing is cloud adoption, right? And it's happening quite a bit. A recent customer survey of ours showed that 80% of the organizations that we're talking to are embracing some type of cloud, either in a hybrid environment or a multi-cloud type strategy. And the beauty of this that we find is that one of the solutions that we target here is with our SUSE Linux Enterprise Edition. That provides the same flexible business critical capabilities that we're using to power and protect the 80% of the Fortune 80 or Fortune 500 all the way down to your small business. And we're able to do that across these different environments. Second big thing that we're seeing, of course, is the adoption of cloud native. This tends to be the biggest trend impacting the future of IT. And specifically what people are looking for here is leveraging containers to optimize their applications, and then having things like Kubernetes to orchestrate that container deployment and operation across their premise, right? On-premise and public and private cloud infrastructures. In fact, what we're finding in talking to our customers is that 95% of the digital workloads will be cloud native by 2025. And I know you've all seen analysts' numbers that are similar to those. The interesting part here is SUSE is delivering a single cloud native platform that hosts your containers and provides a single interface to manage any Kubernetes distribution across your entire distributed enterprise, and do that with any scale and without regard to whatever provider it is that you have. Now, we take these benefits to the edge, and I'm very excited about the edge opportunity here, because what we're seeing is that these companies are able to push those services, and they have that need to push those services as close to us as users as they can, right? Because we want that real-time interaction. So what we're finding when we've talked to our customers, that 84% of them believe that they're going to utilize edge computing within the next 24 months. So it's a big thing that's happening. And the thing that we've done here at SUSE is we've optimized our edge footprint, and we've provided a full stack management. So by combining those between our enterprise Linux and cloud native platform, this allows you to deploy those services out to the devices and scale them up to the hundreds of thousands that you need. But you're doing it in a unifying manner, right? So you're using those same services and orchestration models and management models all across your enterprise. Then lastly here, the point I want to talk about here is securing that shift. So one of the things that happens that we found as you're adopting cloud native technologies is that traditional security solutions don't necessarily protect you against these new vulnerabilities that are introduced and can be introduced through agile development methods and so forth. A good example of this is the Kubernetes network abstraction. It's a great tool, it's a great development model, but it's impossible for the traditional networking services, the security services and tools to see actually what's going on in the internal networking traffic, okay? So it's hard for those tools to understand what's going on and determine if there's an actual attack occurring. So SUSE starts with your container software supply chain, and we, with some newly acquired technology from NewVector, that was a private company, we're actually in the process of open sourcing that, and that's what I'm going to talk about in detail this afternoon in my session. We start with securing the supply chain and running that all up and monitoring the whole life cycle through your runtime. So we'll talk about that in detail this afternoon, so come join me. And we're doing this, as I mentioned, we're open sourcing this, and with our open source ethos, you'll notice and find that this platform is available and runs not just on SUSE, but across the spectrum. So I know I just had this couple minutes. I appreciate this time, and we went really fast. And I know it was very brief and very high level, but I wanted to give you this quick overview to let you know some of the things that SUSE is working on, and invite you to come to our sessions. Mike is going to talk tomorrow about the containerization and robustness of the future of cloud native out on the mainframe. I'm going to be talking about security and supply chain this afternoon at 1:30. Invite you to come and talk to us and hear what we say. Thank you.